What's up, guys? Dennis here. Hope all is well on your end. I actually want to do a part 2 to a video that I've already done called Emotional Detachment Techniques. So this will be a part 2. I think that was a good video, but I think there's more that I could have added to it. And so I want to do that in this video. Just make it a better, more valuable video and topic. In that video, I talk about one of the techniques being that let's say someone gives you, let's say someone's rude to you, or they curse at you, or they're yelling at you, or whatever. Through the power of visualization, you can take what they're telling you, you let it come at you, and if you envision a ball, right? You take all their stuff that they're throwing at you, you let it stop in front of you. You take it and you ball it up into a ball, and visualize yourself putting it in the center of a table. And you can now look at what they're telling you. And just with that exercise, and through visualizing what they're telling you, you are essentially not letting it affect you. It didn't get to you because you're taking it and you're putting it away from you in the middle of a table where then you can look around it, see it for what it is, and not let it affect you emotionally. Now there are different types of techniques. I don't know all the techniques, but what I do believe is that the philosophy is always better than the technique. Sometimes when you focus on the techniques and you don't have the philosophy and the perspective, you miss out on the actual essence and the point of the whole thing. And sometimes when you have the philosophy, you don't even need techniques because it'll come out naturally. So that's why I wanted to make a second part of this video. So the philosophy is very important. I think that's where a lot of the shortcomings come from. Why a lot of people have a lot of anxiety and stress and insecurity issues and self-esteem issues and stuff. And I'm not gonna talk in the video like I have this all necessarily figured out or I'm a master at it. The point of the video is to bring out some realizations that I had that are helping me, that continue to help me and advance in this area. And I think the goal, what I believe is a goal should be the goal for most people, if not all people, is self-mastery. And your emotions is a huge part of that. So your ability to master your emotions and to be able to be the watcher of your own emotions and notice it when it's happening to you, right? If someone's telling you, someone's yelling at you, you can stop in the moment and you can watch yourself have these emotions, kind of step out of your own body for a minute and watch your mind have these emotions, watch the feelings that are in your body and question, where did that come from? What triggered that? Did I put that there, right? And the answer is going to be no, you didn't put that there. That was programmed into you. So your ability to watch your own emotions, and like you're watching something on a TV, oh, look at him feel that way. Oh, look what's going on in his body. You can feel the biological changes, right? Maybe your heart rate increases, or you're a little uncomfortable. And I think the self-mastery part is a beautiful thing, because then you can catch yourself in each of these emotions and watch how you're going to react, how your body reacts. And then you can detach from that emotion and not identify with it. Because if you're watching it, then that means it's not you. If it was you, you wouldn't be able to watch yourself. Right? So that's another level of awareness and enlightenment, to where you can watch what you're thinking, watch what you're doing, watch what you're feeling, and question that. Because now you realize and you come to the moment where you know that is not you. That is just a condition, right? Any condition can be changed. So I say that because I think the point should be self-mastery, and emotions are a huge part of that, because we are fundamentally emotional creatures. But sometimes that doesn't help you out, right? Unless you have the awareness and the training and the things that make you have mental clicks that allow you to have more control over those emotions and your thoughts. Like if you don't have that, you're going to be up and down in your life, and it won't take much to throw your game off and throw you off your day, right? I remember this is probably years back. It was a video I think that I was watching, and I found what they said was so intriguing. He said, how many people would it take, and I'm paraphrasing, how many people would it take in your day to ruin your entire day, essentially? Like, if it would only take one person to ruin your entire day, whether it's at work or at home or whatever, then you're giving that person way too much power, right? That means someone else has control over your emotions, your energy, your mood, right? And that's a problem. So leading with that into the philosophy of things, right? Because if you understand that, if you just understood what I said and you believe that's a problem, well, then now you're starting to understand the philosophy that, hey, wait, I can't have other people have that much control over me. That's a weakness in myself that I have to correct for, right? If I want to be strong and I want to have a fruitful life, if I want to be happy all the time and be in control of myself, you have to control your emotions. So it starts with having the philosophy and the awareness that you should not allow other people to have that level of control over you. So kind of segueing into philosophy, I think there are a couple of fundamental things that you should know, things that I've learned and realized in the past few months and that sort of thing. The philosophy is everything. I did a video on how life should be simple, and I mentioned in that video that all you need in life, and when you hear it, you'll know it to be true, is food, water, and shelter. I think it helps to start from the bottom and then work your way up, right? Because then you can shave off the layers that you've been carrying around, and then you can see things for what they need to be. If all you need is food, water, and shelter, well then, fundamentally, you now know that everything else is not necessary. So if it's not necessary, then you shouldn't be attached to it, right? This is where the philosophy comes in. If you understand that you only need those three things, then everything else is non-necessary. You might want a car, you might want a big house, you might want vacations, you might want a great relationship with someone else, friends, and blah blah. But if you come from the foundational point, the perspective that, hey, I don't need those things because I can survive without them, then that puts you at a different level. Now you're starting to see things differently, right? Oh crap, like, why am I so attached to this thing, right? Where does that come from? You're not consciously realizing in the moment, and all the moments where that habit and that conditioning and that programming is being put inside of you, right? So you need to start going into all those layers and peeling them off, because it will bog you down, right? There are fundamental things. And I'll read it to you. I'll read a portion of it because I'm driving. I just read the first line, and I keep it here because this is, when I first heard it, I wrote it down and said, this is it. This is the philosophy that I've been trying to live my life by, trying to get to the point of, and I've heard it in words, so I wrote it down. But I'll read the first line to you because I'm driving. You will not cling to things unnecessarily. You'll be strong and self-reliant, unafraid to be alone, right? What does that mean? If you understand that you are okay with being alone, if you genuinely get to the point where you know, I'm fine being alone, if you can find happiness being alone, that's huge, because then you start seeing that you're the only thing that you need, right? And then you're no longer reliant on other things. I believe in self-mastery and self-sufficiency, 1,000,000%. When you draw from yourself instead of drawing from others and requiring some external source to feed you, right? Then you are in control and you have power. You have leverage. This is why my brand is named Leverage Lifestyle. Seek the leverage in everything. Give yourself the leverage. When someone else has that power over you and your emotions, you no longer have leverage, right? And this is across the board. Emotional detachment comes from a philosophy that you need nothing outside of yourself. I'm going to say that again. Emotional detachment comes from a philosophy of understanding that you need nothing outside of yourself. Right? If you want something really bad and you need someone else to give it to you, it's up to them to give it to you, when and how and if. Right? They have that control over you. So now they have the leverage, and you'll feel a certain way about that, right? They'll control your emotions, and they can keep you strung along, and they'll give it to you if and when they want to, right? And you might do something that you wouldn't want to do, or that's outside of your character to get it, because now you have no leverage, right? Go into every emotion. It's the same reason why you would go into, let's say, a situation where you're purchasing a vehicle, right? You go to a dealership. You don't want to go in there and be like, oh my God, this car is great. They got you. Because now you're emotionally attached to that vehicle. So what gives you the leverage? When you walk in there and say, okay, that looks good. And you play it down, no matter if you love the car. Because the moment you become emotionally attached and you let them see that you like it, that's it. You lost all leverage. They're going to start playing with you now. And I hope that's like an easy analogy to use, that it makes things a little bit more easy for you to understand. But it comes from a philosophy, and we're not taught the philosophy. So by default, when you're not taught the right things to serve you, you're automatically going to integrate the wrong philosophies, and you're not going to be served by your own mentality. I watched a video a few days ago. It's an interview from a guy that I actually didn't know until that video. His name is Jason Capital. He's a young guy, millionaire, and all his different businesses and stuff. And someone was interviewing him on a channel called The Passionate Few, and I recommend you watch it. But he mentioned two things. He said that when people have outbursts, right? If someone's yelling at you, arguing or cursing at you, whatever. When people do that sort of thing and they're trying to hurt you, that's coming from two places. So the first one is a cry for attention, and the second one is a cry for help. And I thought that was interesting. And he said that if you look at every situation like that person it's a cry for help. Well, now you look at it differently. It's like, okay, it's not something I did. It's a weakness on that person's part, right? The way they went about it is a weakness on their part, not on my part. So now you look at them differently. You look at yourself differently. You don't allow it to affect you. Personally, you don't internalize it. It's not like, what's wrong with me? What did I do? Or you don't let them rile you up and change your mood, right? And get you pissed off. Now that gives you control. But see how it wasn't a technique? It was a philosophy. It was a philosophy. I watched I believe it was Peter Thiel, about a year ago, was a video on like relationships. And he's talking about like how couples argue and all this stuff, right? And how to like get to the point where you no longer argue. And he mentioned something very, very similar to that. You know, it's basically a cry for help. If you look at those situations and people as a limitation, right? Like a child, and he mentioned this in the video as well. He said like a child. If you have a 5-year-old, right? You know that child has limitations in their reasoning and in their logic. Right? So they're going to cry, they're going to complain, they're going to throw tantrums, right? And you don't look at that child and say, like, you don't talk to them like they're an adult, because they don't have that reasoning that comes with life, right? And age and maturity. So when people do that, you kind of look at them like a child. Like, this person is lacking that. They don't have, it's a limitation on their part. It has nothing to do with me, right? Take people that are on the streets and they do like illegal things and they're stealing, or they're destroying property or committing crimes and stuff. Well, yes, they should be responsible for that because they're old enough to know. It was an education that was instilled in them by their peers and their environment, right? By society as well, what they see. And there's a limitation there that they don't look at things like you and I. To them, that is normal, or it's at least okay to do. It allows them to give them the idea that justifies what they're doing, and allows them to believe that they're going to get away with it. Where you and I might be like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to jail, right? It's a limitation in mentality. So if you look at other people when they do things like that and you say this person's limited, now it never got to you. It's not a personal thing. You didn't internalize it because it had nothing to do with you, right? And instead of getting riled up and being all like defensive about it, you're like, okay, buddy. Now you are the master of that situation because you control your emotions. You tone down the situation, right? And whatever situation might be, and now that person doesn't have emotional control over you. And that might probably even piss them off. But you're gonna look like a boss. You're gonna feel like a boss, and you'll be way more mature. And you held your own because you have a mentality that's way above what the level they're running off of. Your frequency is way higher. Your enlightenment is way higher. And awareness is way higher. That's what allowed you to have control over your emotions. So fundamentally, if you understand a couple things without reading a book, hopefully with what I'm telling you in this video, you'll start seeing some things. But without reading a book or anything like that, you could know, oh shit, this is how this is, or this is how I can do this. I'm looking at this thing differently. It's a perspective game, as many things are. Many things are just a perspective game, and it just requires you to look at things differently. And usually you need to hear a message in a way that makes it click and make something applicable and, you know, practical for you. But think about that. It's just a limitation that people have, right? And you might have this limitation. And one thing that's worth mentioning too is these perspectives that I'm talking about, they're not always easy to keep in the forefront of your mind. If you keep it in the forefront of your mind, some situation comes up, then you can act on it. But if it's something that goes to the background of your mind, you're more likely to act out in the way that you've always acted out in certain situations like that, right? But what you want is emotional detachment. You don't want situations and things to have power over you. Another branch of this is to not be attached to outcomes. This is another big one. When you can say, whether this happens or that happens, I'm cool with it. There's a power there. There's an immense amount of power there. Years ago, an old mentor of mine, he mentioned a quote. He was doing a talk, and he mentioned a quote. Like, this was a long time ago, different time in my life, and I will never forget this. I don't know if he made it up or not, but he said, peace of mind is when the worst that can happen is no big deal. How powerful is that? If you can get yourself mentally and in a situation in your life where the worst that can happen is no big deal, you now have peace of mind. And peace of mind means now you're no longer attached to the outcome, right? Which then means now you have emotional stability. How powerful is that? Right? In a relationship, right, the more attached you are to that person, the more power they have over you. Right? The things they say, the things they do, the things they don't do, the things they don't say. Where they go, how they do things, like everything. Right? Because they have that power. You gave that to them because you were seeking it from someone. You found that person, now you gave it to them. Right? The more power you give somebody, the more power you give them over you. So if you understand some fundamental things, as I mentioned in a video that I actually did yesterday, if you understand some fundamental things about a relationship, when you go into it, you say, okay, I want these things. These are the character traits that I want from this person. These are the things that I want in my ideal relationship. When I look, okay, this is the things that would make my relationship a great relationship. You go into it with those things in mind, right? So that you can recognize whether you have them or not from the other person. And if you go in with the mentality, okay, I'm perfectly fine being alone for a week, 2 weeks, 6 months, a year, 3 years, whatever, however long it takes. If you come from that perspective, I'm going to be alone until I get these things that I've identified from this other person. Now you know what you want, and now you have something to check against. You say, okay, I'm going out with these 3-4 people, right? This person has these qualities, this person has these qualities, and you can say, these are the surefire things I need from this person before I get into a serious relationship with this person, right? Now you're coming from a frame of, I don't need this person, so they don't have leverage or power over you. You can get up and walk whenever you need to, right? And now the game is you're trying to find out if they have the character traits that you're looking for. So you have all the power, right? So it's a philosophy game. The philosophy is not what you're looking from that person. What you're looking for from that person, it's I don't need anybody. So now you're operating from that platform. So now everything that you do will work for you because you started right. If you start wrong, you end wrong. So now you're looking for these particular character traits, and you know if you find them or not, right? And then if you're in a relationship with that person, you finally found those character traits, you know, okay, hey, if this person changes and I no longer have those things that I thought I was going to have, right? I could always just pick up and find somebody else that has those things. But if you're coming from the frame where you need this person and you're letting them have to fill this void and it's their job to make you happy, you're screwed. Because you'll stay in a relationship that doesn't serve you, that's wasting your time, that's draining your energy. Because of the fear of being alone. If you don't fear being alone, you have all the power in the world because you don't need anything, right? When someone's trying to sell you a car, they're going to sell it to the people that are emotionally attached to the vehicle. But if you don't give a damn about the car, they can't sell you the goddamn thing because you have no connection to it. See what I'm saying? When you give somebody the power of your emotions, they have all the control over you. So a part of that is also to reduce the number of things that you actually desire as well, right? And within those things, you desire them less. Because now you have the power over everything. And in a video that's probably like 10 minutes long so far, you know, I may have made some mental clicks in your mind. That it's a philosophy game. Don't chase the techniques. Techniques might help in the situation to make things more applicable to you, more easy to apply in a situation. But when the philosophy is right, you're golden. So that should be the goal, is to chase the philosophy, right? Be okay with being alone. Don't want things too much, because when you don't need them, they don't have power over you. And your life is light and free, and your mind is not clouded. You have clarity and you're happy because you don't have things that are draining you down, right? The more things you have to be attached to, the more problems that you have, right? When you have all these materialistic things, when you're too attached to other people, you have to understand also fundamentally that things come and go. People will come in and out of your life. Materialistic things will come in and out of your life. So you have to have a very subset few things that you know are actually necessary: food, water, and shelter. You throw security in there. But if you have those things, then you're good, right? But sometimes we act like, well, we're not aware that we need those things, or those are the only things that we need, and so we just chuck them off to the side, and we're looking for attachment to other more worldly things, and that screws with you, right? Because worldly things change and you're not in total control of them. So if you're attached to those things that are constantly moving, you're gonna have to move with them. Alright? So be cool with, you know, if this comes, it comes. If it goes, it goes, right? I remember when I got into an accident months back ago. It was my second accident actually in this car. And I realized, you know what, because I'm very particular with my stuff, the way I maintain my things, or what I like, the quality of stuff that I buy. And I got into an accident, I got rear-ended. And I'm like, you know what? I can no longer be attached to materialistic things because it pissed me off. Obviously, now I got to deal with all this crap. My car's messed up, blah blah. And that experience gave me a realization that I can't be attached to materialistic things. And so the way my viewpoint changed, I said, okay, well, no longer do I care about buying an expensive car. That's not the goal anymore, because that's gonna make me more stressed about how I have to maintain it and keep it at my standards, and worrying someone's going to scratch it or dent it or whatever, right? So I became less emotionally attached to materialistic things, right? You can see things more clearly. But I won't make the video too long. I hope this part of the video's part 2 was more valuable to you. If you haven't seen part 1, go ahead and watch that one. But if you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to comment or message me wherever you see this, and I'll do my best to reply quickly. So I hope you guys got something out of this. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.